Welcome to the newly refurbished Rupp Arena, looking better than ever here in Lexington, and a happy Veterans Day. America's finest involved in the pregame ceremonies, helping unfurl old glory on the hardwood floors of historic Rupp Arena. It's a fired up crowd as Kentucky looks to improve to 2-0 on the season, taking on 1-0 Duquesne. Oscar Tshiebwe missing the first game, still nursing that knee. Unlikely we will see him tonight. He is in attendance. He did warm up. They hope to have him back for the Michigan State squad and the Michigan State ball game. And we say hello and welcome. He is Mark Wise. I am Mike Morgan. It is terrific to be with you folks as we're still kind of getting into basketball mode. Right. We're still trying to figure out what this installment of Kentucky basketball looks like. Another incredible recruiting class, several returning veterans, including the reigning National Player of the Year in Oscar Tshiebwe. But Mark, he's likely out tonight. Jacob Toppin is in tonight, and he's poised for a career year.
I think everybody has thought if Toppin's basketball skills could catch up to his athletic skills, he could be a special player. Well, I think that day has come. He put in the long hours over the summer to improve his offensive game. The payoff on opening night against Howard, he produced his first ever career double-double. And Mike, I think if you're making any list of players that have the potential to have a breakout year, Jacob Toppin has to be on that list.
A scary thought for opposing teams in the SEC and the country if that can happen, considering what is surrounding him this year. That man, John Calipari, is very happy what is surrounding him this season. They have won 20 in a row here at Rupp Arena. The last couple of years have not gone the way that John Calipari and Big Blue Nation have wanted. This year's team just feels different. This season feels different. And we'll see more of this installment of Kentucky basketball tonight. Blue Cats, Kentucky Wildcats dressed in white, and Duquesne dressed in red, and that's going to be a turnover on the opening possession. In transition, an easy bucket weaving his way is Jimmy Clark.
A little miscommunication that time between Wallace and Frederick. How about Duquesne, Mike, going down the floor early?
You and I saw this in shoot-around today. Duquesne's going to throw a lot at Kentucky tonight. We'll see some pressure, we'll see some zone, everything but the kitchen sink as the Dukes will try to pull off the upset. You see the starting five for the Wildcats. No Tshiebwe, no Collins. Damian Collins, of course, still with family after the death of his father. And Xavier Wheeler is expected to play off the bench. An early three from Frederick off the front iron, and here come the Dukes in transition. All the way to the basket. Top floor for the rejection is Toppin.
Wow, talk about a rim protector.
Now whip it around the perimeter. Toppin slicing into the lane, high off the window, off the mark. And Kentucky chilly to start things off.
I don't think either. We're going to have to worry about the shot clock too often in this game.
That'll be a reach-in foul on the talented freshman, Cason Wallace.
The foul is on Wallace. That's his first and the team's first.
There is Keith Dambrot, the head coach of the Dukes. They're from the Atlantic 10 Conference. Keith Dambrot had terrific success in his last stop with the Akron Zips. He was there for 13 years, led them to 3 NCAA tournaments, also coached one LeBron James in high school. He took the job at Duquesne. He knew it was going to be a rebuild. Last season was the first losing year he's had since 1994. He told us, he was very candid. He said it was a reflection point for him whether or not to come back and rebuild it or just retire. He couldn't stay away from the game, Mark. Wanted to win, wanted to come back, build this back into a winner.
And we asked him, and I asked him about what changes would you like to make, and he said we wanted an older backcourt, check. Depth in the front court, check, and more shooting and passing, and I think we're going to see some of that tonight as well.
And you saw some of that pressure in the backcourt as Frederick has to burn a timeout. So the first 88 seconds have not been kind to Kentucky.
Another look at the press that the Dukes put on early. This is the same press that they put on in their opener against Montana. And midway through the first half, Duquesne led Montana 14-12, but then Keith Dambrot put on this diamond and one press, completely changed the complexion of the game. They ended the half on a 31-7 run en route to that 91-63 win.
Yeah, it was a blowout against a team that's expected to do good things in the Big Sky Conference. 10 new players for Duquesne. If they learn to play together, this will be that rebuilding season that Coach Dambrot and company expect. Meanwhile, for Kentucky, again, no Wheeler on the floor. And you wonder, Mark, how that affects the Wildcats facing some of this pressure.
Well, again, this is the freshman Wallace at the point. Everything is a learning curve.
Tried the alley-oop. Ware was not there for it. They're lucky that they get the carry. This is Wallace. Wallace and Livingston, the two highly touted freshmen on the floor for Kentucky. Shot clock down to 3 for Toppin. Toppin banging, firing, and missed it off the front iron. Loose ball, a scrum. Diving for the loose ball is Kentucky. Kick out. Frederick on a 3. Got it! Expect a whole lot of three-point magic from that man, number 1 in white. A career 46% three-point shooter.
But I love the effort first by Toppin and then by Wallace to save that possession. And that set up Frederick from bonus land.
You and I were at Kentucky practice yesterday for 2 hours. There was no lack of effort or hustle from this squad. Frederick, whip pass down low, up and under and in for Case and Wallace.
What did Keith Dambrot tell us at shoot around today? They cannot afford to get up in a real track meet. I think they're going to have to pick and choose when they want to run with Kentucky.
5-0 run for the Wildcats. Open 3 from the corner, front iron. And they're tearing away the rebound is the 6'6 freshman Livingston.
This is a big Kentucky starting lineup when your two guards are at 6'6" and 6'4".
And there's something different. You and I have done a lot of Kentucky games over the years, seen a lot of talented freshmen. You talk to people like Paul Biancardi. This freshman class just feels different. Lance Ware, the veteran, on a two-hand flush. Wallace and Livingston, and we'll see some of the others sprinkled in, but they have a chance to be special.
They're so strong as backcourt players, and you got a sense of that because Wallace almost had that ball stolen.
See how the Dukes respond. A fade and fire, tough shot. And a rebound off to Livingston.
That's the other thing. When you've got big rebounding guards, you don't have to worry about the outlet pass.
Again, no Tshiebwe in this game for Kentucky. So you lose some rebounding. There's obviously some scoring.
Excuse me, I often talk about it. Be the first guy on the deck in any kind of scrum situation. Watch Wallace give his body up right there, and then they have the presence of mind to find Frederick at the arc. Again, get your elbows a little dirty. Get some bruises on those elbows early.
I don't know if you could find better form on a jump shot than C.J. Frederick. And he's not just a spot shooter, can shoot it off the bounce, can shoot it off the screen. He is a special weapon. Shot clock down to 3. Kentucky's going to have to hoist one up here quickly and will not be able to do it. Wallace lost sight of the shot clock. A turnover brings us to our first timeout. 7-3 our score here from Rupp Arena.
Good offensive execution. Lance Ware with the two-handed flush. Kentucky on top early.
Tonight, as we honor all who served and gave the ultimate sacrifice on Veterans Day, we pay homage to a true Lexington legend, Walter Clay Cox Jr., a World War II Army veteran, a 1948 Kentucky law graduate, former judge and retired attorney. He turned 100 years young on Wednesday. He endured the horrendous conditions from the Battle of the Bulge back in 1944, was promoted to captain in 46. And there he is, a handshake from Coach Cal. I mean, this guy, I don't care what you've accomplished in life, Mark-wise. When you read the bio of Captain Cox, you feel like you've got a lot more to accomplish in life.
All I want is that head of hair when I'm that age. My goodness, does he look great.
How about this? He returned to Lexington after the war, completed law school at the University of Kentucky in 1948. I mean, the man did it all. He was a founding partner of Bell and Cox. in 1954 and recently retired at the age of 99. That's when you and I are going to retire, right?
Do you think he was asking Cal, are you going to play a little 1-3-1 tonight?
Yeah.
Might we see Wheeler tonight?
Right. Trying to get some injury updates on Tshiebwe. Absolute, offering a little bit of strategy, perhaps. I'll tell you, Coach Cal was in awfully good spirits yesterday. He gave you the typical, hey, Duquesne is dangerous. Don't even count these guys.
Which they are.
Which they
correct.
are. Which they are. But there just seems to be something different in the air about the love affair he has with this year's team.
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, they've got a better collection of shooters, and I think they are so physical. I mean, when you look at this lineup in terms of their physicality, pretty impressive. And remember, we haven't seen Oscar yet this year.
Yeah, and of course,
speaking of physical.
Yeah, all he did was put together the best rebounding season in 40 years of college basketball and 28 double-doubles.
We saw Kentucky work on this in practice yesterday, a little 2-1-2 three-quarter press. I think Frederick was a little too unselfish there. But Duquesne's doing a great job denying ball screens. Kentucky's really not able to get anything off the ball screen. Credit to Dukes.
Wallace up top, under 10 on the shot clock. Had it stripped, but a reach-in foul. That'll go against Jimmy Clark, the transfer from VCU.
How impressive was Wallace on opening night? He flirted with a triple-double. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Not bad for your Kentucky debut.
And some of the best parts of his game are not even on the offense. He is a true high-end defender that'll be able to go up against some of the best in the SEC this year. Here's Frederick to Wallace. Pulls up, 15-footer, back iron. Toppin flying in for the rebound, but corralled by the Dukes. Little Euro step floater, and it drops off the back iron for Jimmy Clark. A 2-point game, under 15 to play here in the first half. That's going to be a hold on Duquesne.
Last possession, keep your eye on 22 White. He challenges him backcourt. You're the point guard. You've got to be back. That's one of the things that Wallace will have to learn as he makes this adjustment. But as I say that,
Xavier Wheeler, the two-time assist leader in the SEC, makes his debut in this game. Again, he's been nursing a knee injury. We watched him in practice yesterday. No ill effects. Just got to get your wind back a little bit. Tough runner by Reeves, who was so good in that opener.
Well, you got a nice round of applause by checking in. And you're talking about a guy who had 207 assists last season, and that's 6.9 assists per game. Was third best in Division I.
Of course, all kinds of experience, a calming influence for this Kentucky team when he's on the floor. Another freshman in the game, Onyenso. And there's a triple. Knocked down by R.J. Gunn, the junior out of Columbia, South Carolina. Duquesne with a lead, and right on cue, there's Onyenso, and he's an interesting story. He's a 6'11 freshman who recently turned 18. He played 1 year of high school ball. He moved from Africa in January, played 3 months for a program that wound up winning the national title, Putnam Science Academy. But remember, he was playing basketball in Africa since he was 14 in the African NBA Academy, and there he is again, making some noise.
If you're going to play with Xavier Wheeler, all you have to do as a big guy is keep your hands ready. And you could see Onyenso do that.
Toppin on a steal, Wheeler, give and go to perfection, and a timeout called by the Dukes.
Little energy from the Cats off the bench this time, with Wheeler leading the charge. So explosive, attracts defenders, finds his big, but did you see Onyenso had his hands ready? And another look, same kind of finish. And then Toppin shot the gap defensively to lead to a transition bucket for John Calipari's group.
Onyenso is 6'11", 225, and runs like a deer. I mean, he's just a special type of athlete that you have to come off the bench eventually for Tshiebwe.
We talked about Kentucky and how much better I think they are and have the chance to be on the offensive end. But they're also really good on the defensive end with all this length and quickness. And it reminds me of an old basketball adage, to fake a pass, to make a pass. And that's what the Dukes better do, because this Kentucky team is really good at shooting the gap.
Look at Ugana Onyenso. Again, from Nigeria, played in the African NBA Academy, which has put together a lot of stars here of late, several of which have made it to the NBA. Started doing that at age 14. Goes to high school in the state of Connecticut in January. Plays 3 months. His team goes 38-0. And then he reclassifies, comes to campus, and already making an impact.
And even with all of that, he was ranked 27th in the top 100 that ESPN does.
It is hard to teach that type of natural athleticism at that size. 5-point cushion for Kentucky. 7 minutes into the action here first half. Mike Morgan, Mark Wise. Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday night. That's a three from the corner, misses everything, but an offensive rebound. Shot clock at 1. 3 at the buzzer, knocked down. That is 32, Kareem Rozier, the 5'9" freshman.
Yeah, didn't score in their opener. Played 16 minutes, a finalist for Mr. Basketball in Michigan. He was the right place at the right time.
So was Onyenso. He was working on that hook shot yesterday in practice, and then even early today before shoot around, right hook, left hook. Taking it right in on Onyenso, return to sender. Here's Wheeler in transition and will peel back. And a turnover on Wheeler.
Mike, watch the footwork by Onyenso here. Watch him give ground to not foul, so he creates space. So many big guys feel like they've got to crowd their offensive player, especially down in the paint. You need room to operate. Great job by him to create that room.
Talk about instant productivity. 6 points, and that block for Onyenso already off the bench. There's a steal forced by some swarming defense. Now the scrum, and that'll be a jump ball with the arrow going to Duquesne. Timeout on the floor with 11:59 to go. The Wildcats up by 4. Kentucky out to an early 4-point lead here at Rupp Arena. You are looking at Michael McGuire and his family, and they have now become kind of a viral sensation ever since the blue-white game, which of course took place in Pikeville after the severe flooding in eastern Kentucky. And then Michael McGuire and his son go to the game. That picture went viral. That's on Instagram. It just happened to catch Coach Cal's attention. And Coach Cal said, I want to know more about that family. I want to take care of them. I want to treat them to an experience at Rupp Arena. Today they come over on the Kentucky Wildcat team bus. They're treated to an early dinner. They're treated to tickets here at Rupp Arena. And when asked about why this moved Coach Cal so much, he said, you know what, my family's American dream started in a West Virginia coal mine, so the picture really hit home for me. That picture of Michael McGuire with face and arms still covered in black coal dust. Remember, his family, they went straight from work to the game. They didn't have time to shower and clean up or do anything. They just went straight to the game. It went viral. And that is the kind of story, I don't care if it's college basketball or just life, that you just love to hear more of. Three-pointer by Antonio Reeves, who hit 6 of them, the most ever by a Kentucky player in his debut.
Michael, that story makes me think of a family that has a love for each other, a family that loves the Cats, and the generosity of John Calipari and Kentucky basketball. ESPN has a crew that's embedded with the family, and you're going to be able to see that story in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I think it's already one of the better stories you're going to see in college basketball this season. And you're right, I don't know if Coach Cal gets enough credit for some of the things he does in this community. over the last 14 years. 5-point game. Wildcats on top, under 11 minutes to go, first half. Wheeler slicing, dicing, and draws the foul.
You know, Austin Reeves was so good in the opener. Made 6 of 12 from deep, but watch the ball movement. There's the corner pass, but the extra pass by Frederick leads to the wide open look for Reeves, who had 22 against Howard. 6 of 12 from deep. 39% a year ago at Illinois State. He's got a 1,200 career points now. I mean, this guy can score.
Well, think about it. Reeves' career 35 three-point shooter. Frederick career 46 three-point shooter.
Right.
You stretch that defense out, and you got Tshiebwe banging inside. That could be a matchup nightmare.
Careful now, you're starting to sound like a coach. You want to spread the defense out. You want to make the court bigger, not smaller. That's how you do that.
That would just be my novice strategy. Every now and then it just comes out of me. I don't know where. You're rubbing off on me over these years, Mark. 7-point cushion now for Big Blue.
But Mike, you know, for all that we've kind of focused on Kentucky, here's Duquesne. It's 7-point game halfway through the first 20.
Well, remember, they lost their last 17 games last year, but it became a mash unit. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong. They started recruiting for this year's team before last year ended. That's a beautiful take by Xavier Wheeler. If he can just improve his outside shooting to go along with that penetration, Wheeler can be an added offensive weapon this year.
You know, like a lot of guards, he understands how to play at different speeds.
Another rebound for Onyenso.
See, here's another beauty of Jacob Toppin. He can handle the ball out on the perimeter.
Oh, beautiful take and almost an and one for Antonio Reeves.
We talked about Wheeler playing at different speeds. When he comes at you, he's got a great hesitation move. Watch this, right there, looks one way and then gives you another one. Left-hander finishes on the left-hand side off the window. Watch it again, crossover, he's gonna come and then he's gonna do a little hesitation right there and then the blow by.
Reeves, a transfer from Illinois State, misfires on the first free throw. And some appreciation by the Kentucky bench for Xavier Wheeler's first minutes of this game as he's breaking into the season.
And don't you think that's how we'll see Wheeler tonight, in small batches?
Well, you brought up a great point, not only for tonight, but I think long term. Xavier Wheeler played 32 minutes a game last year because they had to play him 32 a game.
Right.
They don't have to do that this year.
No, I'd be shocked if he averages 32 minutes a game with the talent in the backcourt.
High off the window, pops out for Clark. Here comes Toppin. Beautiful passing down low on Onyenso, wheeling, dealing, and missed everything on that one.
Got a little excited that time. Kentucky is knifing these ball screens.
Clark got hammered on Onyenso with the foul. Jimmy Clark will go to the free throw line.
That is Onyenso. That's his first and the team's second.
Second team foul on Kentucky with 9:21 to go.
But Mike, if you're a big, that's where you want to take your fouls.
Right.
You want to protect your rim. You don't want to get silly fouls 30 feet from the basket or fouling on the offensive glass. Take your fouls, get your fouls, protecting your basket.
Now, and year after year, Kentucky is one of the best rim protecting teams in the country. They're one of the best rebounding teams. The question, I think, for a lot of people will be, what kind of shooting team will this be? And Coach Cowell's saying he doesn't mind if his guys shoot 25 threes a game. That's very un-Cowell-like at Kentucky, but he believes he's got the personnel to do it.
He's a little surprised Duquesne did not press after the made free throw. Now Wallace turned his back to the defender. Oh my goodness!
If I am 5'8", Tevin Brewer, this is not a good business decision.
Well, it's good to see Brewer back on the floor for Duquesne, who had that appendectomy in October, got an infection from it, lost some weight. But my goodness, Wallace, the athleticism, the explosiveness on the defensive end.
You said lost some weight. How about 18 pounds he lost? Clark clangs a three. Out of bounds to Duquesne.
Duquesne, like a lot of teams around the country, has a lot of new faces. They've rebuilt. And take a look at this list of first-year players, transfers, freshmen. JUCO Quincy McGriff had to play the point in the absence of Brewer in their Monday night win over Montana. Make that Tuesday night.
And where's more of the great defense by the freshman Cason Wallace. I mean, they believe as a true freshman he can be one of the best defenders in the SEC. Livingston, rise and fire.
See, I'm a big believer that early in the game, you don't have to create your own look off the bounce. You don't have to step back, move the ball, rotate.
I think that's a bit of a settle.
That's a settle. And it's a settle, too, and the analytics will tell you that's a no-no.
Shot clock now at 10. Up top, it's McGriff on a three. And it'll finally pop out, hit every part of the rim before it bounces off, but out of bounds to the Dukes. Duquesne now 2 for 8 from behind the arc. It's a Duquesne program that plays in a really good league, the Atlantic 10. The top teams in that league expected to be Dayton and St. Louis. And you and I think this snuck up on us. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 1977. I mean, there's some proud
That's a
tradition.
Shocker. Yes.
That snuck up on me. I couldn't believe that. Reeves, step back tray, got it. He's got a pretty stroke, and he's not afraid to fire from behind the arc.
Here's the chase by Toppin.
Layup missed.
Toppin defended at midcourt, got the rebound.
Onyenso wants it down low. Kick out past Toppin, passed up the three, takes it strong. He attacked the rim. And a good job defensively by Rotroff to alter it. Thought about it, and then pulling the trigger is Jimmy Clark on a three, and all of a sudden it's an 8-point game.
I like Clark a lot. Good looking player. Started his career at VCU.
And a foul on the floor. That'll go against Duquesne. It'll be Kentucky basketball when we come back. 6:50 to go, first half. Wildcats up by 8.
Watch the quick, quiet feet of Antonio Reeves. He's just marvelous from bonus land.
Well, that is Keith Dambrot, the veteran coach. First for Central Michigan, then Akron for 13 years, now in year number 6 at Duquesne. And you can play kind of the Kevin Bacon game, the 6 degrees of Kentucky basketball. How do you get from Keith Dambrot to Adolph Rupp? Well, Keith Dambrot has an uncle, Erwin Dambrot. Erwin Dambrot handed Adolph Rupp in Kentucky the worst loss in the postseason. It was at CCNY in March of 1950. And old Uncle Erwin Dambrot, he dropped 20 points on the Wildcats. That was in the NIT. That team, CCNY, went on to win the NIT and the NCAA. And Erwin Dambrot won the most outstanding player. How about that for a connection?
And there is no truth to the rumor I did that game. I'm just stating that up front.
I thought you were scouting. I thought that was your scout that night, CCNY. You had him down pat.
Tell you what Keith Dambrot likes, the start that Jimmy Clark has gotten off to. Only had 8 in that opener, but he's already got 9, and that's half of the Duke's total.
Shot clock at 10. Everything but the basketball on the drive, and it pops free. Finally corralled, or is it? No, nobody's corralling it. It's still loose, and picked up a jump ball. The arrow does go to Kentucky.
Take another look at the loose ball that develops into a scrum. Losing the ball off the bounce. Clark and Wheeler battle for it. Toppin gets involved. goes to the deck again, and then all kinds of bodies go in.
Wheeler sets up the offense. Frederick back in the game and has it up top. This is Toppin off a curl and left it short.
I like that little flex cut to get Toppin a look in the paint. That's a pretty quality trip. Wow, green light.
Good looking move by Clark. Offensive rebound blocked. Onyenso with another rejection, his second, and then the tightrope save by the freshman Wallace. Here comes Wheeler. Toppin on a three. He's been working on that part of his game.
I just like the fact that he's aggressive offensively. He's playing with a lot of confidence.
Loose basketball scooped up by the Dukes. Baseline drive, off the mark. Hot potato finally reeled in by Onyenso.
And even though he didn't get a block, he certainly impacted that shot attempt.
Wallace, pull-up jumper, silky smooth, number 22 in white, Case and Wallace.
I just love the fact he plays under control, shot that shot off 2 feet. So many times we see over-penetration from guards. Nice job by the freshman.
His brother Keaton was a 4-year starter at Texas San Antonio, but Kaysen said, my dream school all along was Kentucky. That's where I wanted to play. Out of bounds, last touch by Toppin.
We talked about the outstanding footwork inside. Here's the block by Onyenso. He had 4 in the first game. And then see the way he avoided? He knew he didn't have the proper angle there, so he stayed out of the fray and eventually got that rebound. And you're telling me he's just 18?
I'm telling you, he's just 18 years old and played 3 months of basketball in America. And that was in high school. By the way, Duquesne has gone ice cold. They've missed 12 out of the last 13 from the floor. And an offensive foul. Thursday night's college hoops doubleheader. Number 4, Kentucky hosting South Carolina State. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern here at Rupp Arena. And then it's Toulouse-Smith leading Mississippi State against South Dakota. That'll be in Starkville. Both games are right here on the SEC Network. Mark, you and I do a lot of SEC basketball. There's going to be a lot of new coaches and new places this year.
Right. 6 new coaches, if you count Mike White's move from Florida to Georgia. 5 brand new coaches.
One of those at Mississippi State. Wheeler probing, firing. Livingston left alone and knocks down the triple. Both these freshmen, Wallace and Livingston, not just athletic, they've got range. Largest lead for Kentucky now, 13-point cushion.
Oh, that's a good throwback.
But a brick fired up by Duquesne. Wheeler.
There's that hesitation again.
Livingston hanging, firing, and missed it. McGriff corrals it. Beautiful feed, and the stuff on the other end for Jimmy Clark.
Sensational pocket pass in transition by McGriff.
You could see where this Duquesne squad could cause some trouble this year in the Atlantic 10. They are deep and athletic. A far cry from what they were a year ago.
Here's the run and jump on the pass.
Ware trapped along the baseline, and he was lucky to not turn that one over.
Livingston confidently, watch after Wheeler gets feet in the paint. Livingston knocks down the corner 3 ball, but Duquesne counters. Jimmy Clark in transition. McGriff to Carter for the one-handed slap.
Wow. Shots fired.
Wow.
Peter in mid-season form already.
I wonder if Peter Burns has ever guarded the Bellarmine action on offense.
You know a thing or two about that coaching staff and what they do over there.
Yes, I do, man. They move the ball. They don't dribble it. They pass it. It's a horrible opening night opponent. You have to do a lot of chasing defensively. Hey, speaking of Peter Burns in the studio, How great was it to see Patrick Young back in studio earlier this week?
No question. Former Florida Gator player, one of the top defensive players in the league, a tragic car accident. And what is the off season for all of us on the broadcasting side, and he is back and is going to be a force throughout the season. They couldn't ask for a more inspirational figure and just a better human being. I'm looking forward to his fine work throughout this season on the SEC Network. A 3 out of the timeout by Case and Wallace. His first triple. 7 points now for the freshman. It's game high along with Reeves of Kentucky. They've each got 7. Clark has 11 to lead all scorers. 2.5 to go here in the first half. 14-point lead for the Wildcats. Shot clock under 5. Tough shot. Rebound fought for, a battle, and another jump ball. We've had several in the first half.
Sorry, Mike, that last out under for Kentucky. Sometimes you lose sight of the guy who takes it out. Wallace throws it in, gets it back. Man, that's shooting it with confidence, isn't it?
I love that play. Not only does he get it back, he's got a little screen to work around to get open in the corner. But shows you the confidence they have in him to call that play.
Wheeler's guilty of holding on the little wraparound screen. A screen that Tennessee runs a lot of. Kentucky will see that later in the year when they play the Vols. It's almost like the player wraps around the screener, might wrap around twice. We've seen Vescovi do that many times for Tennessee.
And he'll do it more this year for Rick Barnes and company.
They have a good game Sunday against Colorado in Nashville.
3 from the corner pops out. Of course, Kentucky projected to win the SEC this year. They've won 49 all-time regular season SEC championships, trying to make it 5-0. Wheeler drive and kick, and that one reaches the front row.
Sometimes he goes too fast and plays off 1 foot, I should say.
We're going to have a lot of time, I'm sure, in the second half to talk about the bigger picture in the SEC. But if you were to pick one team not named Kentucky that you like this year, who would it be?
Tennessee right now.
Okay.
Great mix of old talent, young talent. A lot of production returning. I know that they lost Kennedy Chandler, but Ziegler and company with Vescovi, Josiah James, outstanding. A lot of things to like in Knoxville.
A lot of things to like about the rim protection. That's Ware on the rejection. Wheeler, last second dump off. The stick back, no. And a foul, or maybe a goaltend will be called. Boy, 2 from close range for Livingston. But it's going to be...
Here's the block inside on one end. I think that time Ware got that block. And on the other, Wheeler again goes a little bit too deep. But I think goaltending was the call for grabbing the net, grabbing the rim.
Correct.
Somebody grabbed something.
Somebody grabbed something they weren't supposed to grab. 10-2 run for Kentucky. Coming up on the 1-minute mark here of half number 1 in Lexington. Strong take, weaving, firing off the mark. Man, there's been some frenetic action underneath that goal for Duquesne.
Kentucky could go 2 for 1 to close the half. I think more and more college coaches are getting comfortable with that concept.
And why not?
Why not? The analytics say do it.
I mean, I don't even need analytics for that. I know 2 for 1 sounds like a good deal.
Meanwhile, Kentucky has fouls to give if they so choose.
Duquesne does have 7 offensive rebounds in this half. Again, a lot of that no Oscar Tshiebwe.
Wheeler very fortunate with that dribble. There's playing off 2 feet, though. That's the difference.
5-second differential, game clock to shot clock. A little shake and bake, Euro step, drive and kick. A lot of fancy stuff, but nothing comes out of it for Grant. But left alone, Tevin Brewer.
They got Kentucky's defense in rotation, and the Cats could never catch up.
Tevin Brewer, who is a scoring dynamo at FIU, also led Conference USA in assists. Wheeler, oh, he just kind of glides, slow motion, but somehow it works for him.
Yeah, he does have great upper body strength. He just kind of powered that way to the rim.
Great way to end half number one if you're Kentucky. An impressive 16-point cushion through the first 20 minutes. Wildcats getting it done on both ends of the floor. Offense, defense. Let's send you to studio. The one and only Peter Burns is standing by.
Jim Andrews, a new member of the Kentucky Hall of Fame, played here in the early 70s. There's a funny story about Joby Hall accidentally recruiting Jim Andrews after a stop at a gas station. And you'll have to read more about that.
I know I do some of my best work at a stop at a gas station, but that's a story for another time. 16-point advantage for Kentucky here at Rupp Arena, game number 2 of this young basketball season. As we welcome you back inside, he is the coach, Mark Wise. I am Mike Morgan. Thank you for stopping by this Friday evening. And Mark, you know, I mean, 16-point lead, you'll gladly take that. But if you're Coach Cal, it goes beyond just the numbers, the stats, and the score. How is Coach Cal feeling about the first 20?
I think he's going to look at this stat sheet, and the number that's going to jump out at him is the number 19. That's the number of points Kentucky got off the bench. That's 50% of their production.
And certainly he's got to be pleased with the newcomers once again leading the way for this Kentucky squad.
One of the hard things for freshmen to understand, you don't have to be spectacular all the time. Just be solid. Wallace with 7 points, 3 assists, 1 turnover. Livingston with 5 points, knocking down a 3-ball and 5 rebounds. Those numbers don't wow you, but guess what? Solid is good.
The only number that really didn't favor Kentucky in that first half. Offensive rebounds actually advantaged Duquesne. They were very aggressive on the glass. In fact, out-rebounded Kentucky 21-19. Obviously, a lot has to do with missing the nation's leading rebounder if you're Kentucky and Oscar Tshiebwe. Kentucky's got the basketball first here in the second half. We'll see what the Wildcats can put together here in the next 20 minutes. Kaysen bobbled it on the floor. And a jump ball. And it'll turn it over to the Dukes.
You know, Kentucky did a lot of things well in the first half. Here's a look at the 2 freshmen, though. And I talked about they didn't force things. 5 shots apiece. One gives you 3 assists, another gives you 6 rebounds. So I think Cal will take that from his young players.
Yeah, they're going to stuff stat sheets on a regular basis because they don't just do one thing well. They do a lot of things well. How about Chris Livingston? Player of the year in 2 different states, first in Ohio and then in Virginia. Nice jump hook shot by Trey Williams, his first basket.
Yeah, he didn't get in the flow in the first 20. He got hurt late last year in February, game against Davidson. So it's good to see him back out on the floor.
A former Indiana State Sycamore, the alma mater of one Larry Bird. 10 on the shot clock for Livingston. Crossover dribble. Takes it off to Frederick, who had a quiet first half. Back to Livingston on the return. 3-ball, kicks off long. And a nice job on the box out by Joe Reeves.
Too many dribbles that possession.
Inside, Dayton with a paint touch and a bucket. Trey Williams, and a quick timeout called by Coach Cal. We'll step aside with him with 18:37 to go.
Again, the Dukes come out of the locker room. Back-to-back baskets, both by Trey Williams, that time on the lob. Dukes make the first.
That Coach Calipari has called an early timeout to deliver a rather poignant message.
Every coach asks this question of your team: who is dictating the quality of our shots? Is it offensively with our execution, or is it defense and their defensive pressure forcing us to take bad shots? And I think that's what Cal talked to his team about. We need to get back to a better offensive execution.
Kentucky trying to improve to 2-0 overall, 2-0 here at Rupp Arena. They were undefeated last year at Rupp. They've won 20 in a row here in this building. Cal has had 6 undefeated seasons at home. during his 13 years as the head coach of the Wildcats. Toppin on an up and under, pops out. Everything but the bucket.
Now you got to look it in. Looked like he kind of ducked his head at the last second.
Kick out pass to McGriff on a three. I'm telling you what, Duquesne has come to play.
The great equalizer. All great upsets, or most great upsets, start at the arc. 3-point differential.
7-0 run by the Dukes coming out of intermission hot. And a whistle down low against Duquesne.
Now this is McGriff in transition. The ball faked by Grant. The kick out, quiet release that time by Quincy McGriff, the sophomore. More comfortable as an off guard, as I mentioned earlier, with the return of Brewer and playing a little bit tonight. McGriff is moving over to his more comfortable shooting position.
Inside Ware, banging bodies, no. Second effort, no. Wheeler saved it, and that's heavy contact. Livingston got pummeled. Might see some hits like that tomorrow at Kroger Field when Kentucky battles Vanderbilt. A game, by the way, you can catch on the SEC Network.
Take another look here. Wheeler saves it. There's the foul. That's a good call. Livingston comes down in an awkward position. Good to see him pop up, though.
No lack of toughness from this Duquesne squad. They are physical. Ware with a paint touch, lost it, got stripped down low. Inside.
3 in a row, maybe?
Carving out space. Kick out for an open three, and that's an oxygen ball. Fired up by McGriff.
Again, remember, this is a young Kentucky team with a freshman backcourt. Wheeler back there now, so they'll play the two wings with Frederick. This is really a unique lineup for Kentucky right now because Wheeler allows them to play 3 wings in Livingston. Livingston will move to the 4-man spot.
Wheeler coast to coast and can't get it to drop. Kentucky 0 for 5 now in the second half. Williams slashing, missed it. Shot was no doubt altered by Onyenso.
He is a presence in there. Block to block, isn't he? Take another look. Onyenso didn't block the shot, but certainly altered it.
Yeah, I don't know what his wingspan is, and I don't care. He's every bit of 6'11", and you want to talk about quick twitch. I mean, he just moves so fast for a guy his height.
The Dukes have really applied a lot of half-court man-to-man pressure to start the second 20.
Frederick down low. Onyenso pump fake and then gets it to drop off the glass.
I like the little ball fake, though. Took his time, didn't rush it.
Already a career high 8 points for Onyenso. Second effort. How about another block? That's the third for Onyenso. And then a reach-in foul on Duquesne.
Boy, I'm telling you what, if you're going to drive into the paint block to block, you better know where 33 and white is. Watch as he's the help defender. I think he blocked the first shot and then got all of that one. The attempt by Rotroff. It's interesting because Kentucky a year ago, Mike, only blocked 4.2 shots per game.
Right.
That wasn't real high in the league.
No.
I mean, Oscar is not a shot blocker in that sense.
Right.
But man, do they have a couple of guys that can do that now.
And they got a guy who can do this. Knock down threes. A quiet first half for Frederick. That's his second triple of the game. Almost got a steal. C.J. Frederick, who went 595 days between games. A transfer from Iowa and then missed last year with a hamstring injury.
Good move, the ball ahead. Nice play by Frederick.
Entry pass on Onyenso.
But don't stand out there with Wallace. If you're going to throw it inside, cut. Do a blast cut. C.J. Frederick at Iowa, 46% for his career from bonus land. You cannot leave him open. He'll make you pay.
As if this dream night can't get any better for Michael McGuire, the miner who became a viral sensation during the blue-white game in Pikeville. His whole family getting escorted to the game. He gets dinner on the house courtesy of the Kentucky basketball program and comes out at midcourt to a standing ovation from this Kentucky Wildcat crowd. I mean, there are dreams, and then there are things that just surpass your wildest dreams. That is tonight for Michael McGuire and his family.
I have goosebumps just watching that. That's really neat stuff.
It's just incredible. And again, it all goes back. Some things just strike a nerve with certain people. And when Coach Cal saw him, he wanted to get him identified. He wanted to find out more. He wanted to do something for Michael McGuire and his family. And I go back to what Cal said about his own family. Their American dream started in a West Virginia coal mine. That really painted the picture and paved the way for Coach Cal's family to make it in this country. And so when you have that type of background, you appreciate those things. And certainly Michael McGuire and his family are appreciating this night to the fullest. 7 blocks for Kentucky, most of them by the man at the free throw line, Onyenso, who has 3 of them.
And if you're going to be that kind of rim protector and you want more minutes, knock down your free throws. That first one was pure. I'm in mid-season form already.
The Mark Wise effect. You want to give anything else to Jacob Toppin while we're at it?
Here's the battle of the bigs between Brewer and Wheeler.
Toppin in the game, wrestles that rebound away and leads the break to Wallace. Wallace dribbling in traffic.
Young freshmen will learn you don't have to go 100 miles an hour on the bounce all the time. Pick your spots.
Toppin just lost it on a spin move. Here come the Dukes in transition. Lefty layup, no. And there for the rebound. Who else? Onyenso. This is his coming out party tonight. Another scrum. I don't know, 6, 7
balls have we had?
A rugby game has interfered with the basketball game tonight at Rupp.
I really like the young freshman Ronski, who misses the left-handed attempt. The ball gets batted around, and again, players on the deck.
Here we are. It's still a 15-point game. At times, it looked like Kentucky would pull away.
How about this? A little zone. A little matchup 3-2, I think.
This will be interesting, I think, throughout the year. Wheeler hoists a 3. It's part of his game that he would like to improve as a career 3-point shooter. Xavier Wheeler just 28%. But a lot of teams in the past have zoned up Kentucky,
right,
kind of daring them to shoot threes.
Well, notice Frederick's out of the game.
Right. Where that was from Frankfurt. Wheeler probes the baseline, leaves it off to Wallace, back to Xavier. Kick out pass, open 3, Toppin.
Yeah, he's just off offensively tonight.
1 for 8 now for Toppin. And then a 3 on the other end, nothing but the bottom of the net.
See, that's
Ronski.
Excuse me, Mike, that's a potential 6-point swing. The 3 that Kentucky missed, the 3 that the Dukes made.
I'm guessing if this were perhaps a different game, maybe a conference game, we'd see Frederick off the bench right here against the zone, right?
Again, get up, play off 1 feet. You're asking for trouble. Wheeler has got to play off 2 feet. That ball should have been intercepted, and that leads to a foul by Kentucky.
Livingston will check into the game. Toppin goes out, so both star freshmen Wallace and Livingston out on the floor right now for the Wildcats, and then add Onyenso. You've got 3 freshmen on the floor.
And Duquesne continues to be the hang-around team.
Left of the lane, it's Williams. Back to Brewer. Hoist up a 3. Left it short. And a rebound tracked down by Wheeler.
And nobody went and got the rebound. I think he's out of bounds.
Not knowing exactly where he was. Antonio Reeves a little too close to that Kentucky bench.
Cal was trying to appeal that. I don't think he likes where his team is right now in terms of offensive rhythm.
Yeah, well, the rhythm has kind of fallen by the wayside. That's a 10th turnover now on Kentucky. Williams backing in on Livingston, draws a double from Wheeler. Clark lost it. Off and running is Reeves, and Reeves full throttle draws the foul.
How did he even get the ball up?
He put it in high gear looking for contact. And he'll get 2 free throws out of the deal with 12:08 to go. Antonio Reeves, a transfer from Illinois State by way of Chicago, Illinois. A look at tomorrow's Week 11 SEC Network College Football lineup. It's Kentucky hosting Vanderbilt right here in Lexington. That'll kick it off at noon. Then it's the Gamecocks in the Swamp against the Gators in the nightcap. Texas A&M taking on the Auburn Tigers. All 3 games also available on the ESPN app. Mike Morgan, Mark Wise, great to be with you this Friday evening from Rupp Arena. Kentucky has led throughout, but Duquesne not going away, keeping this interesting. A 14-point game with just over 12 minutes to play. Beautiful take, but a little bit short. Livingston top floor on the rebound.
Dukes get their zone set. That was the weak spot, the soft spot.
Livingston comes up empty. Kentucky has not been in rhythm for a while now offensively. Beautiful feed, wide open 3, knocked down. Duquesne driving, dishing, and a triple from Reese.
It's that tough wraparound that Kentucky is trying to chase. That messes up the rotation defensively on the weak side. This zone has got Kentucky discombobulated on offense.
And another situation with a player stepping out of bounds, this time Livingston.
Duquesne, good execution, attracts way too many defenders. Joe Reese knocks down the 3-ball. Dukes.
Kentucky in the second half, 2 for 11, 6 turnovers. They've really been led by the freshmen tonight. Again, no Oscar Tshiebwe, Damian Collins out, and Xavier Wheeler did not start this game, although he has played. But look at that, Wallace, Livingston, Onyenso, 21 of Kentucky's 46 points so far.
Kentucky is just 2 for 11 here in the second frame. 1 of 4 from deep with 6 turnovers. That's a third of your possessions here in the second half have come in turnovers. So ball security, part of the Kentucky timeout, I'm sure.
Toppin back on the floor, as is C.J. Frederick, a zone buster if there ever was one. See if Duquesne stays in it when they're back on defense. 11-point game, under 11 minutes to play in Lexington.
Well, that was a play for Ronski out of the timeout.
Frederick. Out to Antonio Reeves, and now they're back into man-to-man. Reeves on the drive, and 1. Count the basket for Antonio Reeves.
Some of Kentucky's older players have struggled a little bit tonight. Not Reeves. Off the bounce. Takes the contact by Wronski. Finishes. Watch his head. Watch him look this ball in all the way. See him concentrate. That's what you have to do. So many young players, when you get bumped along the way, you tend to lower your head, duck your head. Keep your head up. Keep your eye on the prize.
I think about the value that Coach Cal has gotten out of the transfer portal the last couple of years.
Right.
You look at 5 or 6 of Kentucky's prominent players, they're all transfers.
Right. I think we're going to see more and more of that. We're not going to talk about player development anymore being year to year.
Right.
It's going to be from August to March.
Little jab step and then a pull-up jumper off the mark by Easley. 10 minutes to go. Wildcats have led throughout, up at 1 point by 16. Wheeler finds Toppin. Little floater, got it to go. Maybe that'll get his confidence going. Of course, brother Obi Toppin was a star at Dayton. Now enjoying life with the New York Knicks. Toppin leading the break here. Finds Frederick. Frederick passed it up. Wheeler. Frederick passed it up again. Takes it with the left hand and missed it. There's Onyenso. Onyenso again. Frederick again. Got it. Largest lead tonight, 18.
Big guy, get an offensive rebound. Look for your three-point shooter. That's a marvelous job by the young freshman. Get the rebound in the paint. First, Toppin plays off 2 feet for the little leaner. And then look at the big fella. Look around, find Frederick. He delivers. Kentucky on a little run here in the second half.
Covington Catholic High School C.J. Frederick, recruited highly, but not highly enough out of high school to play for his dream school. That, of course, being Kentucky. He did grow up in Cincinnati. Started his career at Iowa. Big Ten all-freshman, one of the top shooters in the country. Also had a high assist-to-turnover ratio.
Right.
Not an overrated stat at all. And C.J. Frederick, they really had high hopes for him last year. That injury that he suffered was devastating. They were a different team without him. Glad to have him back.
You know, it's almost, it should be a rule for players with offensive rebounds. If you cannot immediately lay the ball back in, you are much better off looking for a three-point shooter on the perimeter. Why? Because the defense is scattered. Sometimes your best three-point shots come after offensive rebounds.
8-0 Kentucky run, sparked by the three-point shooting of C.J. Frederick. Frederick now with 9 on 3 threes. Clark has it up top, 12 to shoot.
Good activity by Reeves, fighting through the screen.
Inside, banging bodies, and a tough shot right on the shot blocker. Rotroff gets the hook shot to go.
Uh-oh.
Frederick.
Heat check, watch out.
He has the ability to ignite at any time.
Now, if anybody shoots the next time down for Kentucky except Frederick, you should be coming out.
Good time to find number 1 in white.
You know who's really good at that? The NBA. They understand that,
right.
Man. When a guy gets going, it's not my time to shoot.
That's right. Frederick's father played at Rollins College. His uncle was a star at Notre Dame.
Let's see if they can find him one more time.
How about an alley-oop to Toppin? That'll work too.
This is the first time tonight, Mike, I feel like Kentucky's got a handle on the game.
Yeah, clicking on all cylinders. Threes from Frederick. Shots down low. And another strong take by Mr. Rotroff. He missed the final 16 games last year, and the Dukes lost all 16 of them. Toppin on a runner. Toppin gets it back, blocked again. And then a turnover.
There's a lot of stats in that sequence for Toppin. Not all good.
not many of them good. Not the way you want to stuff a stat sheet. Step back three. And Wheeler, smallest guy on the floor, corrals it.
Numbers.
Reeves, three. Left it short. Onyenso with another offensive rebound.
That's rebounding out of your area code.
He's flirting with a double-double. 9 points, 10 rebounds for the freshman. Shot clock down to 5. Wheeler dissects and fires.
I think Cal wanted Wheeler to drive there. Don't settle.
Grant on a blow-by and draws a whistle with 6:51 to go.
Well, Kentucky has got it rolling here at home in Rupp. And it's been a different guy, different times. First, Frederick lights up with this 3-ball. Toppin on the alley-oop with the two-handed schwack'ems. And then finally, it's the McGuire family doing the Y at Rupp.
To one of the top sharpshooters in America, C.J. Frederick.
We had just talked about Kentucky's older players kind of having an off night. Well, Frederick must have been listening, because in a span of about 2 minutes, he knocked down a couple of 3-balls. He's 3 for 5 from deep here tonight. In the first game against Howard in the opener, he was 2 for 5. So he's already at 50%. Last time I checked, Mike Morgan, 50% at the arc is pretty good.
It's pretty good. So is 46, which is his career mark from behind the arc. He's in the best shape of his life. Of course, he won a state title in this very arena back in 2018.
Mike, check out Day Grant, where he stands on the free throw. Watch how far off the line he is. I noticed this in their game against Montana the other night. Look, he's 8 to 10 inches, a foot maybe behind the line.
So it's a 16-foot free throw.
Yes, but he was perfect the other night in the opener. He made 3 of 3 free throws, 1 of 2 there. So here's the press.
And here's the turnover, a walk on Wallace.
Kentucky's players got caught sleeping because Wallace was on an island. Everybody had already gone down the floor. Nice move by Keith Dambrot to throw that on.
13th turnover on the Wildcats. See, Day Grant had that perfect game essentially that he was able to put together in the first game. There's a stick back. Rotroff has been active. Leading the pack on the other end is Reeves, and knocked out of bounds by Duquesne. Quick hands from Tevin Brewer.
That was good catch-up speed by Brewer, because I thought Reeves was open on the fly pattern.
Brewer hospitalized for over a week with appendicitis, lost 18 pounds. They're just trying to work him back in the lineup.
See what I did there, the fly pattern. I did that for you.
Thank you. Football action, I appreciate that. Get the best of both worlds in November. A great time of year to be a sports fan. Yeah.
The crossover month.
We love the crossover. Mark Stoops and company will try to pick up a much-needed win on the gridiron tomorrow against Vanderbilt.
I think one of the things that Kentucky's players will learn, because they're new faces, you get everybody's best shot every night. Cal knows it. He tries to preach it to his team. And here's the thing that Kentucky fans need to understand. You don't make up for the St. Peter's loss now.
Right.
You're not in the NCAA tournament. It's not March. You have to go back to the ground floor and build your team again. So enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey.
That's my point.
That's all you can do. And watch everybody begin to gel. And that's really what nowadays with the portal and the turnover, everybody's trying to get cohesion and chemistry this time of year. Toppin from the top floor. Oh my goodness. Eight points for Toppin. None more electric than those two.
That all started because Ware had really quick hands for a big guy. Oh, here we go again.
Reeves Almost forced another turnover.
Watch the quick hands of Lance Ware. Right here on the crossover, he knocks the ball loose. That starts the run out. And on the other end, Toppin, trailing. Two-handed slam.
Now this is a big year for Jacob Toppin, the senior, Brooklyn, New York, transfer from Rhode Island, proving to the scouts at the next level that he can do it all.
You know when you really know a player has got great upside? When they don't play real well? Like Toppin, you would think, has struggled tonight, right? Well, he's sitting here with 8 and 7.
Right.
On a bad night.
On a bad night. The lead has ballooned to 20 for Kentucky.
See too many dribbles. Everybody wants to catch and dribble.
That's a blow-by dribble and almost a thunderous slam by Antonio Reeves.
Mismatch, both inside and out.
Double team kick out pass. Oh, beautiful dime dropped off by Tevin Brewer.
How about the little left-handed shovel pass by Brewer? That was pretty.
Well, here's Duquesne. They just keep fighting. Frederick around a screen. That's an illegal screen on Lance Ware.
But see, I'm blaming that on Frederick. He never allowed Ware a chance to get there. And that'll get called every time.
Now that became a point of emphasis about 7-8 years ago, and it seems like it never stopped. Every year it seems like we see a lot more of these.
He had already started moving before Ware got there. Just be patient, slow down.
Breather for Frederick.
I think Wheeler has played more here in the second half than I thought we might have seen him.
I think this is a get in shape and get ready to go for some big games coming up.
Starting Tuesday.
That's right. 3 in traffic, and it'll be Kentucky basketball.
Let's see if Kentucky is better against the press. They've got a one-man press breaker with the quickness of Wheeler. Get the ball to Wheeler and get out of the way.
Yeah. Across the timeline, Wheeler breaks it, no problem. Wheeler probing, dishing. And Wallace missed the floater, got it back. Wheeler on a 3. That's the part of his game, again, if it can improve. They want it to be somewhere around 33 to 35% from 3.
Again, it's a smart play by Wallace, the young freshman who missed his first opportunity, got the offensive rebound, and immediately started looking on the perimeter.
Another scrum. There have been plenty of them in this game. Full throttle, Wheeler.
Oh!
How did he sneak that one in? Plus a foul. Body down, it's Wallace. Hopefully he's okay. An incredible play by Xavier Wheeler. And Wheeler is going to be the first guy to help him up.
Cats flexing their muscles here in the last 10 minutes. Wheeler, the high degree of difficulty in the finish. One of our 23 scrums tonight was this one. Toppin gets on the deck, and then it's Wallace sacrificing his body, not only coming up with the loose ball, but having the presence of mind to find a teammate. And if you're going to find a teammate at the arc, why not let it be C.J. Frederick, three-point shooter extraordinaire.
Again, Kentucky hopes to shoot more threes this year. They're 8 for 15 thus far. And if your bingo card said Xavier Wheeler would post a double-double tonight after Toppin posted one in the first game, well, then you're a winner. 11 points, 10 assists for the senior point guard.
So Kentucky made 11 threes in the first game. They've made 8 tonight. Do you know what they averaged last year per game? 6.1.
Yeah,
they are going to have a better three-point presence at the three-point line.
And again, they've got the personnel to do so. By the way, that last foul was upgraded to a flagrant foul. That is why you see Case and Wallace at the free throw line. Yeah, I mean, I think that's exciting. There are a lot of teams that just jack up a lot of threes. That's not going to win you ball games. You have to be efficient with it. And Kentucky this year has the personnel.
That was a flagrant foul because of the, keep your eye, bottom half of the screen. Here comes Wallace, and he gets undercut. And that is an automatic.
Yep.
No player wants to land in that kind of position, body first. But did you see Wheeler immediately go over and help Wallace up? I'm wondering if later in the year, if Wallace like milks that for a little bit more. You can't get up that fast. You got to get some accolades when you get up.
That's right. Players have learned to milk it. I've seen at all levels. Yes.
Really?
Oh, just a bit. Wallace with 8 points. Again, stuffing the stat sheet in a number of areas. And Kentucky has blown this game open now with 3 and change to play. Looking to go to 2-0 with a big one coming up against Michigan State. Reeves tried to dump it down low to Ware. Quick hands by the Dukes.
1 foot or 2 feet. Play off 1 foot, bad things happen.
Grant on Frederick. Nifty shot with the left hand.
He can create his own look coming off that perfect game in their opener.
Over 1,100 points at Miami of Ohio before transferring.
Dukes are getting back in this zone. It's a little 2-3 matchup.
There's another zone buster right there. He had 6 threes in the first game, and Reeves has 3 so far tonight.
He and Frederick are just a lethal 1-2 from deep.
Nice action. And a foul called on Ware going for the block. Gunn was ready to drop the hammer. I mentioned that upcoming big one. Of course, Kentucky always involved in some high-level out-of-conference tilts early. Michigan State, that'll be Tuesday night on ESPN. Then it'll be South Carolina State from the MEAC. And then at Gonzaga on November the 20th. I would be, we have no inside information, but just watching Oscar yesterday in practice, I'd be surprised if he wasn't available in that game.
We'll see. He's better practice, though, first.
Yes.
I want to circle this game at Gonzaga because the game is in Spokane, but a lot of people are saying it's not a road game because they're not playing in the Kennel. If you go to Spokane and play the Zags, it's a road game.
Yes.
Period.
Checking in for the Dukes is number 32,
Oscar Tshiebwe trying to do something that hasn't been done since the early 80s. Be the National Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons. The last guy who did it, one Ralph Sampson, who did it 3 years in a row at Virginia.
He was pretty good.
He was pretty good, not just in college, but not bad in the NBA as well, as part of the Twin Towers with Olajuwon.
Kentucky's zone busters are on the floor. So you've got to take up slack. That means shooters have to get closer to the line.
There it is, Frederick. Not going to get a better look than that if you're Kentucky.
That's understanding who should shoot shots against the zone. That's a good trip.
Can certainly live with that miss. And a breakdown defensively leads to a dunk for David Dixon.
Miscommunication there on the rotation.
And even though the score might be undramatic at this moment in time, every possession matters if you're Coach Calipari and you're trying to get this team prepared for the bigger games coming up.
And Mike, you don't want to give Cal video material.
That's right.
Because he'll play it over and over.
Yeah, that family is having the time of their lives, the McGuire family. I mean, you want to talk about red carpet treatment now.
Yeah.
You get on
well-deserved
Kentucky bus. You go to a local steakhouse for a great meal. You get great tickets. You get to go to midcourt, you get a standing ovation. I mean, my goodness, you can't buy a package like that.
I mentioned this in the first half. This story is about a family's love of Kentucky basketball and the generosity of Cal and Kentucky basketball.
No question. 22-point ball game. Final 75 seconds. And a tray for R.J. Gunn.
Again, step slow defensively on the rotation. More video material tomorrow for Cal.
I haven't talked much about Damian Collins. I hope to have him back as well. Severe Wheeler has looked healthy, and that man continues to look like a heck of a shooter. Antonio Reeves with his 4th triple of the night.
Mike, I know it's a low release point, but it's so quick, and he's so big and tall, he can get away with it.
Right. Final 35 seconds of the night. Here before some 20,000 fans at Rupp Arena. Kentucky will bleed some clock, improve to 2-0. Frederick, long range, got it. C.J. Frederick, picturesque form, and another good result, his 5th from downtown. And Kentucky will celebrate a 77-52 win over the Dukes of Duquesne. Coach Dambrot, Coach Calipari, 2 longtime veterans with appreciation for one another. The Wildcats 2-0 on the season with contributions all over the place, including Reeves with 18, Frederick with 14. And not to be outdone, Onyenso was terrific, particularly early on for this Kentucky squad. Hope to hear from Coach Cal later on, but first we send it to SEC Now. Our main man, standing by, the one and only Peter Burns. So long from Rupp Arena. Wildcats win it big, 77-52, your final score.